It's early morning, you think, though it's still so dark out that not much light is making its way through the windows. Based on the way the sleigh is jerking and rumbling along, the storm that Loki mentioned must finally be rolling in, and you snuggle more soundly into the crook of his arm. It's a good thing that he's still asleep, because you would probably die if he knew that you were voluntarily cuddling up to him like this. But it's cold. Really, really cold. The temperature must have dropped during the night. You can almost see your breath fogging in the air. That's a good reason to stay cuddled up with the king, right? The twins are asleep too, and with no witnesses to catch you, you crane your neck to study his face. That's when you notice that there's a tiny hint of a smile on his lips, and your eyes narrow in suspicion. You're awake, aren't you? Loki cracks one eye open, his lips parting in a silent laugh.
I am. Please don't let that stop you. You are almost pleasing when you forget yourself this way.
You are such an ass, you think sourly, but you also don't budge at all. And you are a lot more pleasing when you're asleep.
Careful, mortal. You wouldn't want to wake your little friends, would you? I can hardly let you speak this way to the king, can I? I'd have to punish you.
There's a slight purr in his voice that immediately chases away the chill from the frigid air. And what are you gonna do? Toss me out into the storm just like Snowball? You bluster, trying to sit up a little to at least pretend that you weren't entirely complicit to this whole cuddling thing.
Spare me. That little wretch is far better suited for the climate than I am, and I cannot particularly recall you fretting over my well-being.
I kind of figured you could take care of yourself, Your Majesty.
I am rather exceptional.
There's an audible little smile in his voice, a pleased sort of contentedness that you aren't really familiar with, but you can't help but admit that you like. Maybe this is almost what he's like when he isn't taking over planets, you think. Except, is Loki ever not taking over planets? From what you know, his track record isn't exactly great. The twins are bundled up together, and you feel a pang of sympathy. Poor Griep. It's gotten really cold. Are you sure that's Snowball? Groaning in irritation, Loki rubs his cheek against your hair.
A truly idiotic name.
Hey, I came up with that.
Obviously. In any case, if that creature wants to find its way back to her, it will.
The sleigh sways sharply, and when you tense up, Loki's embrace tightens ever so slightly. You pretend not to notice. Maybe he's just tense too. They think you hurt me, you know. The twins.
Don't I?
It's not what you were expecting him to say, and it takes a while to think of a reply. Not really. I mean, not like they think. Not like you could. Does that bother you at all?
Does what bother me?
Being in Illy. The bad guy, the villain.
No. No, mortal, it does not bother me.
I can't believe they're still asleep. Hasn't it been, years? I'm gonna end up spending the rest of my youth in this stupid sleigh on this stupid snow planet.
I am finding myself fantasizing with increasing frequency about the prospect of having you muzzled, mortal. Imagine that. Sweet, blissful silence. Peace.
I think you're lying, sire. You would get bored.
You are a thorn in my side. It has only been 7 or 8 hours, I expect. There's no reason to waste the energy to stay awake. You do well to follow their example.
I slept already. More than you, actually. Don't you need sleep?
I am not in the mood. Besides, I must be alert when it is time to halt and make temporary camp. Burden of the crown and all that.
The sleigh jerks again, and your fingers reflectively dig into the loose tunic he's wearing. In a way, it's kind of nice to think about the fact that he's probably pretty miserable in this freezing weather too, even if he isn't at risk of actually dying from it. You, on the other hand, are very much at risk of actually dying from it. It probably helps with the sense of camaraderie also, that he's lost his blueness sometime during the night. Is that an intentional thing that he does when he's around you, or does he not even notice? Does he just gradually revert to pale Loki whenever he isn't putting on a show for the other frost giants? He definitely seems to refer to his birth form as something clearly distinct from his real self. Poor guy. It's pretty messed up when you think about it. Are you gonna disappear again when we stop? He gazes down at you with a critical eye, and you take note of the dark circles that stand out much more sharply when he isn't blue.
Hoping to trade my company for that of the Firmball, are you? Oh, my dear little brother.
It's Snowball. And no on the brother. Definitely not. You know Bilister makes me nervous.
Yes, I know.
Loki falls silent, and though his eyes close as he reclines his head back against the cushion, none of the tension leaves him. There's something brittle about him, you decide. Something that makes it seem like he's barely holding all of the pieces of himself together. That's not good. It's not good because you need him to keep you alive, and it's doubtably not good because you're starting to actually care. That thought suddenly shoves all the others aside. You care? You really shouldn't. God knows he doesn't care about you. Except... How did you know I've been crying?
The salt of it in the air was unmistakable and disturbingly potent. I've been plagued by your weeping before, you'll recall.
Yeah, well, that's kind of your fault. I really don't get how all this scent stuff works.
Yes. Well, neither do I.
That doesn't surprise you, but the fact that he admitted it does. Loki continues unbidden, and the jostling of the sleigh leaves his hand resting on your hip, fingers splayed.
I've experienced vaguely similar sensations while in animal form. But this is different. More keen, and
He cuts himself off abruptly, drumming his fingers on your hip, watching them while he drifts off into thought. You wish, suddenly and surely, that there were fewer layers between his hand and your skin. And?
I do not enjoy feeling like a beast when I am in the form of a man.
Oh boy, is that a lot to unpack. You aren't really sure that he would appreciate anything comforting you might try to say anyway. His fingers continue to drum. Is it the same with the others?
Meaning what, mortal?
Like when you made Griep cry. Was it just as unpleasant?
No, as a matter of fact. Everything from you is much stronger. How interesting. Perhaps it is a species advantage, making prey easier to sniff out.
Prey?
Yes. My little mortal prey. So terribly easy to hunt. I wonder how far you'd have to run for in the snow to hide your tracks from me.
You know I'm not going to run, right?
It would certainly be foolish. But oh, what fun.
He's doing that thing again. The problematic thing where his voice drops and gets all gravelly. Damn him if he's doing that on purpose, you think. In fact, damn him either way. Because the thought of some nutty alien king chasing you down through the snow shouldn't make you blush. It should just freak you out. But you're definitely blushing. It's time to change the subject. So, this monster wolf. Just how big are we talking?
I have no idea. He is tremendous, no doubt.
Your fingers fidget with the material of his shirt. It's honestly a little rough. Much rougher than whatever fabric he was wearing when he found you in the cave. But not too big for you, right?
No. He won't be too big for me.
Okay, that's good. But what? Raising one long, elegant finger to his lips, Loki shushes you.
Your little friends are beginning to stir. Best hold that tongue of yours in Unga.
Just use my actual name, you ass. But you know by now that he's doing it on purpose. And the more you react, the more he'll enjoy it. He's a weird one, that Loki. How long will it take you to feel like you can really keep up with his games? Maybe more years than you have left. It's a sobering notion. Griep wakes first, her back curving impressively as she stretches, yawning. You notice that Loki is staring at her, and for some reason, it kind of annoys you. Why can't he just act like a normal guy? Wouldn't it kill him to not be... Well, yeah, it might kill him, and you. You're in enemy territory. Appearances are everything. Just deal with it. It seems to take the giantess a moment to notice that she's captured her new king's attention, and her hands immediately drop to her lap, vaguely contrite. You want to tell her that she shouldn't worry. He's pretty terrible, yes, but maybe not as terrible as she believes. But then you remember that he tried to destroy the entire planet that she lives on, so maybe Griep is actually the sensible one, and you're just overly confident in the quality and quantity of Loki's mercy.
Awake at long last. I begin to believe the two of you could sleep through Ragnarok.
Loki says. His fingers start their drumming again. Is he annoyed, or just anxious? Flushing, Griep opens her mouth to say something, but he cuts her off with a dismissive wave.
You've traveled this route before, haven't you?
Yes, my king, we have. There's only one clear path to Yarnvinder at this time of year. Any other routes are blocked by snow and ice.
She gives her sister a sharp nudge with her booted foot, and Gjalep bolts awake.
Go on then. Tell me where we are.
Loki replies, nodding towards the door. Is he nuts? You can clearly hear the roar of the blizzard outside. Does he really expect her to just hop out into it? Apparently he does, and after exchanging a slightly confused look with her twin, Griep gracefully rolls to her feet. He must be testing her, you realize, though you aren't actually sure why. Loyalty? Obedience? Or maybe he just likes making people jump. Cold wind blasts into the sleigh as soon as she cracks the door open, and you burrow deeper under the blankets and into Loki's chest, silently cursing his name. Griep leans outside and reaches up somewhere above the door, hoisting herself up with surprising nimbleness. If Loki is equally impressed, he doesn't show it. Gjalep seems to be doing her best to avoid blatantly staring at the king, but she's failing pretty miserably, and you can feel him tense up as he takes notice.
I choose my skin as I see fit. Does this bother you, Geredi Doctor?
Oh yeah, he's not blue anymore.
No, sire. I am reminded of when you came to court, when King Laufey still lived with the Asgardians.
Her voice peters out as she finishes, and from the look on her face, she's sincerely regretting saying anything. Unexpectedly, though, Loki laughs.
So you have seen Thor Odinson in all of his glory then, have you?
I have, just as I have seen you in yours.
You fear me.
Every subject fears their king, sire.
You're absolutely dying to know what they're talking about. The mention of Thor was unexpected, but at least he's kind of familiar. You've seen him on TV, and he's one of the good guys. Maybe if you're lucky, he'll show up. That would be nice, right? Having an Avenger show up and swoop you back to Earth. But what about Loki? The nagging worry is quickly buried as Griep tumbles back into the sleigh, wrenching the door closed behind her.
We near the cliffs of Ymir's Teeth. It is almost impossible to see the way, my king. The snow is thick in the air.
I see. And you believe that we should halt, isn't that so?
She appears taken aback, and so are you too. Loki doesn't usually seem to care much about advice from others.
I would not think to question.
Speak freely, girl.
I would stop before the path narrows, sire. The ice will be treacherous, and the beasts and their drivers are likely worn thin already. I know that time is of the essence, but it is a risk.
Do you suppose your Lady Skadi would agree? It is she who directs this convoy.
Lady Skadi is doubtlessly braver than either of us, sire.
For a moment or two, Loki simply studies the two of them, and Griep reclaims her seat by her sister, clearly ill at ease with the idea of challenging Skadi's wisdom.
Tell me, do you suppose that your lady would be eager to allow me to leave, once I am confined within the Iron Wood?
The twins look to each other, eyes wide. Is he really just outright asking them if Skadi is planning treason? Does he even expect them to know something like that? And if they did, would they even tell him? But he's the god of lies, you remind yourself. So maybe he would know.
You needn't answer. I am certain that your people are not foolish enough to test me. And, as it happens, Griep, I believe that you are correct about the storm. It will only worsen as the night comes.
He disentangles himself from you and the blankets and rises to his feet, stretching languidly. Part of you feels almost mournful as he moves to the door. Hey, don't go. You're my heating pad, you think. The other part of you is massively relieved, because the nervous tension in the carriage is so thick that you could probably cut it with a knife.
We will halt soon, as soon as there is cover. Keep warm and make certain that you eat.
Once he's gone, the twins visibly relax, though they both still seem to be a bit stunned. It's no wonder, really. What frost giant would expect Loki and Illy to show any modicum of care? There clearly isn't a lot of trust there, if there's even any at all. You're a strange man, Loki.
A stop will be good. We will be able to stretch our legs after sitting idle for so long.
Gjalep says, a forced sort of cheeriness in her voice.
Speak for yourself, sister. I find myself very well exercised. Had the wind blown any more fiercely, I might have found myself in a ravine.
Well, that doesn't sound good. We're riding past ravines right now?
Yes, mortal. Jotunheim is covered with cracks and canyons. Did you not see them when you arrived here?
No, I couldn't really see. Well, I couldn't see anything but snow. And then I found a cave, and then and then the king found me. So there was the cave, and then the palace, and I guess that place we stopped to take a break yesterday. That's really all I've seen of this whole planet.
Ah. It is no surprise, truly.
I would be shocked if you had managed to navigate much of the landscape alone and unaided. Even if you managed the cold, your warm blood would have attracted all manner of wild creatures.
An anxious knot forms in your stomach at that. Hadn't Loki basically said the same thing when he first found you? I guess the fairy tales are true.